it takes, that'll roast like it's beef. Coach extraordinaire, yeah, Jason's on the mic. C4's wide open, who's rolling in tonight? It's the Racing Line, Tuesday's prime for sim top pace and weekend warriors time. Strap in tight, now hear that whine. Engines up, it's time for the Racing Line. It's the Racing Line, Tuesday's prime for sim top pace and weekend warriors time. Strap in tight, now hear that whine. Engines up, it's time for the Racing Line. It's the Racing Line, Tuesdays prime for sim talk pace and weekend warriors time. Strap in tight now.
Appreciate your time, Frank. This gentleman has done wonders for sim racing, the real world racers that come into sim racing or go back and forth. Frank's responsible to get some guys out on track. So without further ado, Mr. Frank Swartz, Grass Paddock Motorsports, tell us what you do.
What do we call this thing? The Racing Line. I'm all out of sync. We got more people to deal with this week than what I'm used to. So thanks to my co-host, Jason, for joining us. Adam's back this week. And as you can see, we got a fourth sitting here. Megan Oversheet is already joining us to help us do some reviews and stuff. So thank you, Megan.
Let's go, Megan.
And help
Let's
us.
get,
Good
let's get
evening, Greg.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, we're just getting ready to review the spec racers, and since we had an announcer in the waiting room, we thought we'd go ahead and bring you in.
Well, thank you very much.
There he is.
Hey, we got him.
Hey, Jason, we got you this time.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
We won't talk about
Yeah.
the other thing.
Our special guest for the evening, Mr. Dave Ogburn, and for Dave to introduce you to these two knuckleheads, you got.
Great to see you, Thor. Welcome to the fourth chair and the podcast this week.
No, thank you so much for having me. It feels surreal, like finally being able to talk to you guys. You know, I've been in this league for like what 2-3 years, and yeah, finally face to face.
Yes, our fourth guest.
Yeah.
Put you on the spot now, Jeff.
Oh,
So, welcome, Mr. Jeff Jacobson. Again, great to have you here. Thanks for taking some time out to join us. We get to some fun part. That's why you're here, Jerry. This is our guest segment after the reviews. So, thanks for sitting through with us. And
that was fun.
and
Thanks.
yeah, it's some good racing. So, well, first of all, we gotta say thank you to Trenton for taking time to come join us. He's one of the hardest working guys I know, and you can look there in the shop behind him and get an idea of what he does. So as everybody sees, we've got Darren Ganji, and if you didn't know already, he is Mr. Sim Motion, where you can get all your sim rigs and equipment and everything. He's also the sponsor of that league we were just talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Sean Ambrose, we go back forever, back to the very early beginning days of the Weekend Warriors when it was broadcasted on another broadcast, GSRC, I don't mind saying it. Very good to us. And Sean was one of the producers, announcers, always great to talk with.
So, Mr. Edgar Sancinelli, Weekend Warrior, Frito Sport Racing. I don't know what all you do, but great to have you join us tonight, Edgar.
Yes.
I'm not saying shit. Oh, see, I literally. Whatever,
Yep,
Uh,
I give up.
There you go.
I know you've had a mute for me.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, when you
Yeah.
it's for the views when Adam and you were there. I mean, it's
Yeah, it's
jeez.
Oh, yeah.
welcome everybody to another episode of the Racing Line, number 40. We're getting old. Been around a little while.
That's
Yeah.
a little too real, Stevie.
Yeah, well, you guys enjoy it. I'm there. So. We got a special guest tonight, Mr. Tomo Gorman. Tomo, great to see you, sir. Thanks so much for, I know you are one busy dude, but to take time out to join us tonight, we really appreciate it.
I will take any chance to talk about sim racing. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Well, we start off every week with highlights of our previous league races, and this past weekend was a special event that we do every week 13, our vRunoffs. We had the 45th version of it, so over 11 years worth of doing this thing every week 13. And we open it up to non-league members, whoever wants to come in, try to put as many cars as we can and have as much fun as we can. So this time was the Road America. I got special hat tonight for it. And the kink that I put into it this week was exactly that, the kink. I had everybody vote on whether we were doing the bend, which is a little chicane before the kink, or if we were doing the standard kink layout. And you'll see in our highlights how that worked out with everybody. So with that, I think it's time to get into the highlights. Appreciate any comments you might have, Tomo. Just join in. We are a very open, laid back. They give me crap, so enjoy the hour with us.
Yeah, I was just like, speaking of giving crap. I was wondering if Adam was gonna call you out about the about the layout, about the bend or the kink.
Well, I told Jason that I was going to go on strike if we didn't run the kink for all 3 races. I didn't go on strike. I still ran the V's, but I didn't like it. I don't like the kink.
Yeah.
But
no, that's the bend. Or
the bend. Sorry. Yeah, the kink is way better. Now, maybe in an FV, probably not so, but in the FF and the SRFs, it actually gave a little bit of challenge. So
so they just gave it away. We had the bend, the chicane for the Formula V's, and we went with the regular layout with the kink for the Formula Fords and the SRF.
Yep.
So
yep.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad with the V's doing that chicane, but
all right, here we go. Speaking of,
want to hit it?
Let's roll.
We've got 3 races, some of the best stars.
But yeah, I only brought it up because I had to talk Adam off the ledge.
Yes.
He was
now as that pace car
I was revolting.
The field down the hands of
he was
around the gases. The green flag is out.
As soon as he saw it, he was not wanting to do any racing. Although that being said, like I actually really liked running the bend. In the V's. I thought it was way better. It kind of broke up the draft train a little bit before going through the kink. So
we had 33 V's or something like that, I think.
Oh,
yeah, 33,
yes.
34, 35.
Any sort of opportunities, not wasting
we made it through turn 1 clean. Made it through turn 3 clean.
Everybody's kind of fanned out.
Well done, everybody.
We still got some side by side battles.
Everybody did a good job.
This back here, the back, this is.
Yeah,
this is a little area. Looks like we're gonna try to go full
there you go,
wide.
Tom.
There you go. Good job. Trying to make it 4 wide. There's not enough.
Somehow
room
they
for
did
that.
clean
Luckily,
through
they
that.
were able to
Yep.
get, sorted back out.
It is a 2x2 pack as they head their way
Poor
down
Tolo
through
there in the
Bottoms
white
into
car
Canada
is
corner
a
of
Formula
turn
V
number
racer
4
from the
around this
UK
racetrack.
over in
Looking to
Japan
jump back
doing some
into the
some
race
real world
lead as
stuff.
it's a
So
fight between the
he's
gases
one
and
of
Ford
ours.
to spin their
Oh
contact.
no!
They stack it up,
There's,
heading their
Oh,
way
I
to
see a black and
Canada
red one
corner.
that got.
So
Yep.
we've already had
Yeah.
a couple of scenarios there. Oh, as we see that replay there,
Little
A
punt.
bit,
right there.
corner and just wrong place to be, as all the cars are still trying to work their way through Canada corner.
That was
And
scary.
his way out of the carousel down
Mhm.
into the bend, and contact being made into the.
Oh my
braking
God.
zone.
Yeah, so here's the bench
Oh,
chicane.
there
Yeah,
we go. There's the big one
a little bit of a pile up.
going into the bin.
The game
Yep.
of ping pong very much.
Wow,
so
4 wide into 1.
continuing here as they
Yeah.
nearly go 4 wide down into turn number 1.
Don't know how they got
now
away
we
with the
got a
netcode there.
12-car pack at the front. Big gap back to P13.
Yeah, so it was
So we got
I
basically
think a
2
4-car
races
breakaway
as we get
initially, or a
through,
5-car
and
breakaway.
everybody makes it to Canada corner, a little wide there
And
by Ethan
yeah,
at the front, but manages
just the
to
nature of the
collect the
V's
car back
in
up, and we're still 2
the
wide
sim,
to
you
the
can't
end
really
here.
make a decisive pass As you see, they're banging wheels there.
Man, I
Going
don't
through
have
the
a
bend.
good feeling about this at all. As these
But yeah,
racers
so
are
it
really
you end up
turning
slowing
the
each other
wick in the
down
final
instead
5
of going
minutes.
faster
As they're
in the
wide
draft.
right
So
behind Ethan Orr, who
went from a
takes that
5-car
red
train
flag.
to a
Will he
12-car
take the
train.
checker, though, is the real
white flag.
question. Look at that.
Yep.
12 cars,
They
white
head
flag.
their way down
There you go. Yeah.
off
Who's
into
going to
the
win
first
that one?
turn
Yeah.
For the last time in this race, it's Ethan Orr holding on to the inside. Trent Kramer looking to make something work as well.
I got a story, but I don't want to interrupt this action.
Yeah, this last lap gets pretty intense.
Battle as well. This is a really
Looks like
intense
IROC.
battle
Everyone's a
involving
different color.
these racers.
Oh, yeah.
And they're nearly making contact as well through turn at number 3.
Corner here, get a clean exit.
Oh.
Obviously, it's going to be difficult when you're 3 wide coming down here. It's going to be tough. You got to watch that curb on the outside.
3 wide coming into 5.
Jeez.
Still 3.
They made
It's
it
a
through.
stack.
Oh no, they didn't.
Oh, they made it work. Almost all of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
You want to get good entry in. You want to try and keep your momentum up and keep that going down toward Canada corner as we have Samoa's in the lead or second, Tello in third. Oh, wide by Samoa's. That's again
best
that's the
time,
second time
although
he's done
it's-
that I've seen.
You don't really want to be in the lead normally.
Yeah.
Going into the or coming out of the last corner.
Like it looks like he's going to do with himself in the middle. Ethan Orr on the outside, and Tortolo looking to get something moving down the inside into the one of the last turns of this racetrack. Into Canada corner for the final time. Ethan Orr
Coming around the outside.
lead them out of here.
Well, I
but he's
mean,
not really
I don't
doing
think
himself any
either
favors.
Felix or
He's
Tor were
shooting
trying
himself
to be in the
in
lead
the foot,
there.
completely honest, as Tortolo
Although,
and Samoa
yeah,
down
you
to
get
the nail.
this.
The
This
one
hurts.
saving grace that Ethan Orr could
Yup.
have is that Felix Samoa and Tortello slow themselves heading through the final.
It's exactly what Ethan wants, being in the
Yeah.
lead. And he had a perfect exit. Look at that set into the last corner.
Yeah.
And all the exit.
Let's see if it's enough. I think he may have it as they're 3 wide right behind between Tolo, Samoas, and Fergoto. Look at Tolo, maybe gonna have a run right to the line. He's just barely
Doesn't
draw
quite
alongside,
get there. Let's go,
Orr
Ethan.
will win
Well
it
done.
At the end of the day, he played that knowing
Nice.
fully well that Tortello and Felix Samoas were
All
going to
right.
go
They
side
did
by side.
absolutely
They could have
perfect.
had a shot to win
Yeah.
if they just settled
Making
their
sure the
differences
cars
to the
behind him
final.
were side by
But they
side.
didn't, and
Because if they
Ethan Orr's
weren't,
gonna
if they were in a
walk away
line,
with
then
that
Ethan probably would
$100
have finished in
Sim
third.
Motion certificate
Yeah.
at the end of the day as well.
Our timing tower there, Tomo, is the red highlight there is our Spec 1 class, which is typically 3,500 IR and above.
Okay.
The green ones are below in our Spec 2 class. And those yellow or gold ones you see are our master guys age 60 and up. So that's our 3 classes.
So
Nice.
the prizes here, Stevie, was it $100 for the overall winner for Sim Motion?
Right.
And then okay. And then go ahead.
Yeah. Sim Motion put a $100 gift certificate up for the overall winner of each race.
Of each race.
Sim stickers.
Okay.
Of each race.
Okay.
Yeah. Sim stickers. Paul Godden is going to give class winners a trophy for each race.
Okay.
So.
Awesome. Well, then congrats, Ethan. You got yourself $100 and a trophy there. Alan DeGasis wins in the Masters class, P6. So great job, Alan. And absolutely sorry, Stevie. Killed you down there in P15.
Yeah.
And then Michelle Lynn, P9, got it done. I know there was a bit of a issue into turn 5, and I think I saw a purple car that may or may not have gotten involved in that, but it looks like she got through it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, no, Michelle and I had a really good battle on the last lap. So yeah, it was a good race.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congrats guys, and on to the FFs. Or I would say my luck changed, but it didn't.
For the second race of
Michelle
the day, we got the
is
lights
hyped about
on,
getting
we
a
got the
trophy
race
as
car
long as it's not a
peeling
Thompson
off.
trophy.
There as well as he yanked the
Thompson
steering wheel to
Trophy
bring
was
that
created
Portuguese
by
car
Adam
down
for
pit
running
lane.
out of
The
gas
field
on the
now in the hands
last
of our
lap.
front row
Tomo.
sitters
In an
as the
FB.
green flag is at, and the driver
In an
back on
FB
their way
and
here at
a
Road America. It's
non-fuel
Samoa's
limited race.
yet again getting off to a good start. They're nearly 3
So no
wide
excuse.
No
again.
excuse.
No
Little
excuse.
bit
Zero.
behind. That was Tortolo.
That reminds me, there's a trophy in one lap of America that is when you do the most with the least. Or no, sorry, you do the least with the most. So you go out, you buy a $300,000 supercar and you finish 50th. They give you that award.
No. Oh no.
That's awesome.
I like
That's
it.
There was
epic.
also Trent
I love
Kramer on
that.
the outside, and that could have ended in tears as they headed their way down off into turn number
Nice.
Another good
It
group
does
of cars.
end in tears a little bit farther in the back. That's Brad.
We had
Cathcart
some
coming close.
new guys that wasn't.
Yeah. Oh,
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Oh,
Oh,
my
yeah.
God! That is
Justice.
Josh Justice tumbling
yeah.
his way out of the turn.
Did not make it through turn 1.
Feet of air there.
He's an
Holy
SCCA
cow.
Spec
Right
Racer 4 driver.
Josh Justice having the most
I want.
wild ride
Hopefully, we
of
get a
them
good
all
view of
in the
this
number
here
99 car.
as
Did
they
he
show
fall
Justice
apart?
go tumbling.
Potentially might have there.
Boom.
There's another one after this.
Okay, you see, there's a car about to drive right underneath Justice, and that's Jason Greider, who somehow finds a way to get through that.
Right under. Yeah.
Ducks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
where do I go? Where do I go?
So I
Just all
Wow,
straight into
Newgarden.
the side of
Yeah.
the
All right.
had nowhere
Exactly.
to run or hide as a result of that impact.
This is
And
still
then
on lap
crashing
1.
yet again through turn number 6.
And then,
That's
yeah,
Jason
Michelle did
Greider
not
getting a bit of
avoid that
action
angle,
as well. I think
unfortunately.
Michelle Lynn with
her
big
and
damage on that race car. It has been a dramatic
Spider-Man
start to
got
this
together.
race.
Oh, speaking of Greider.
Going to continue.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good avoidance.
Wow, that
There's
could
that
have
red and
ended
black
in
car
disaster.
back behind him.
race already as we see Samoa's there just off the track and
Battle for the
rejoining.
lead.
I believe that's going
Three-car
into Canada
battle
corner.
up
It is,
front.
yeah. It
Four
just
car. Well,
looks like
was.
the lead car there just took a little wide, and it's just going to take a little bit of racing up there. So we see Christian Kabanka working his way up past Sean Doyle.
So here's Christian
That's
Kabanka's
P9. That is 17 position gain
on the inside there. Started from the very back.
Side by side coming through Canada, but cleanly
Big
between
rear
those
brake
two
lock up
cars.
there.
So
Oh,
Kabanka
yeah.
obviously is on a charge.
These cars are
as
amazing.
well
As you know,
greater car than
Corey
iRacing.
Heffler
Yeah.
sitting
I-
back in
I enjoy these.
17 positions.
is
And-
Far off.
Tell that was a rather
That's the
big
second time
collision
that happened to
based
me
off
that
the sound
day.
that it made when he hit the wall.
Yep.
That's some 3-wide
And
action.
yep, Canada
it
corner was
briefly
not very kind to you.
single-filed out to 2, and it's nearly gonna be 3-wide again as Kabanka gonna sweep down to the inside. He nearly went for the move. That could have ended in tears if he did, but nothing to do with the madness that he was nearly at the
This
epicenter
pack
of,
had
and still
had an incredible
he still
battle.
has a front row seat to it all as well, as they're nearly gonna be 3
There's
wide.
not enough
They
room.
are
There's
3
not enough
wide
room.
under the bridge.
No.
Kabanka
There's not enough
gonna
room.
Split the difference
Christian,
and try and
please.
go for the move as they head their way through the marine sweep down into turn number 5.
Yeah, where do you go?
Kabanka
You
gonna
just-
hold his
you're
own
kinda
on the
stuck.
outside. Will it be successful? Will it be a good challenge?
I've seen this team
Survey
livery with
says it
the
will not, as
yellow,
Sean Doyle
yellow, red,
gives him
blue
a bit
kind
of
of
an
gradient
elbow
thing.
check.
I've seen them in a lot of
Races
official
from
races.
this,
That
championship for the simple
cool.
sake that it is 10 minutes
Keep it
shorter
pinned.
compared to some of the other races. They
God.
had
Keep
the
it pinned, it's
opportunity to do it.
It's
Monty
fine.
got to look to jump into the race lead.
I
Ball
didn't
nearly
lift.
followed him there as well. That could have
This last
ended in
lap?
tears.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking toward the last corner, but you
3-car
see
fight for the win.
Kramer coming out wide to the right.
Monty,
and
Trent,
look
and
to try
Simon
and
Ball.
take the outside line, and I think Ball's going to go with him.
One car in each
Yeah,
class.
let's see
The
him
orange
side
car
by
is
side
our
down through the
master's
braking zone
driver.
of turn number 5 at the
Green
end of this race.
alligator
Kramer
car is
gonna
the
try
spec
and
1
cut
and the red
down.
one's the spec
That
2.
could have ended in tears,
don't
but
care.
it's still
They do not care.
No.
Keep the momentum rolling on the
I feel
high
like
side.
Simon
They
Ball
head
is
their
the
way
spec
through
1
turn
driver,
6 for
though.
the final time in this race. If you can keep that momentum rolling, he's got the inside into the kink of 7.
He's got
and
the
Monty
pace.
gonna
I
have
think
to back
his
out of
I
it.
rating
They
was
come out of the
3,200
carousel
or
for the last
something.
time with
So
Kramer
Yeah, that's
in the race
technically
lead.
just
Monty
under.
slot in P2 and Simon Ball gunning up the rear in 3rd. Who's going to try and go
And
for
Monty
the dive
is-
down into turn number 12?
Monty's
Look
got
at
the
that.
pace.
That's Monty
Yeah.
getting oh so
Oh,
squirrely
yeah,
as
Monty's
he
in
pulls
melee.
that to try and get that move done. He had some
Hasn't,
assistance from Ball right
I don't think
behind.
he-
Kramer going to hold on to that inside
He only
line,
did
but
a couple
is
races
all
this
by
season.
himself.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, he
deep on
wasn't
the
around
brakes,
too
down
much.
into the turn,
So he
trying
just
to
shows up
keep
for
alongside. They
fighting
head
for
their
the
way
win.
out of 12 into 13 for the last time. Monty now on the inside line. He's going to clear him coming out of the turn, but Kramer's
Trenton
still there
Kramer
within
in
striking
the
distance.
alligator
It gets
car
little
is
bit
a B-spec
sideways,
driver
goes
in
off into the
SCCA,
dirt and
Tomo.
into the grass, but now this is the Monty turn, the final
recognize
turn
that
of
name. Yeah,
this
yeah.
race.
Yeah,
Who's gonna
he's-
keep
he's,
the momentum rolling?
Frank's
Monty cutting down to
right
the
hand.
inside. He's got the
Frank gets
lead
an
from
awesome
down front
exit.
to
Don't
break
get boxed
that
in.
draft.
Don't get boxed
Ball,
in.
He's got a good run. Kramer's got a good run. They're 3
Oh.
wide coming right to the line.
Yeah.
Who's gonna win this race? It's going to be Kramer.
Oh,
Look at that.
So
Like
close.
7 thousandths.
100th of a second.
Wow.
All 3
Unbelievable.
cars. 12 thousandths.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So
Well, that shows 22 thousandths, but yeah.
Yep.
yeah, so yeah, there you go. 22 thousandths between 3rd and 1st place there. Trent pulls it out by 5 thousandths to get the win from Simon Ball. Jorg Monty coming home P3. And those are your top 3. So $100 and a trophy going, $100 and a trophy going to Trent, and trophies going
Let's
to
go,
Simon and Jorg.
Trent.
So good job on that one, guys. Great job.
Look who's there and pulling up 4th.
Oh yeah.
Our own
Yeah, that was
JG.
I hadn't driven that that car in 2 months. I think I was shocked to be actually on pace.
You were best of the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a good race with Tor and Michael.
That pace car down pit
now it's
lane.
Spec
The
Racer
green flag is out, and the drivers are on their way. It's a bit of a stack up early as here comes Felix Samoa.
This is why you don't go on green.
3 wide already. That right there is Josh Justice in the middle. Eric Luke looking to try and make something work on the outside. They had their way down into turn number 1 at the very start of
we
this
had like
race.
30
Who's going
cars
to win
for
out
this
in that
one.
battle of the last late breakers? It will be Eric Luke leading out of turn number 1.
Yep, good start so far. Haven't seen anybody collected or crashing out as we're still 3
Yeah, I'm
wide
pretty
going
sure we'll
into
get copyrighted for that, Flavio.
Down in there, that right there was Jason Perry nearly locking up and wiping Joaquin Osbeck off the track. Now on the inside of Antonio.
Speaking of,
Don't show it. Don't show it.
Speaking of wrecking
Oh,
balls.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, more drivers locking up. That's Wilkie. That's Stevie.
I had
Ray,
warned
all going
everybody
off the track as they
on
had their
pace
way down
lap,
into
watch your
turn
cold
number 5.
tires coming
He
down.
really could have done there.
Oh no, we're gonna
Somebody
get a
didn't-
second video of it here. Yeah, there we go, Stevie. That's what I'm
It wasn't
talking
even
about.
on this. Wasn't even on the screen.
I had them
Part
locked
of all
up,
them,
sliding
as that
down
was an
into
attempted
5.
overtake and it worked out
There's
well. That was
a rare overtake
monster
in the kink.
move. Who was that going for the overtake there on, I believe?
That's what happens when you break on the grass.
Oh, bang! There's justice into the wall. We've seen that certainly won't be the last either.
Oh, there we go. Coming down into turn 1 there.
Shout out to Brad,
successfully
making
navigated
an
and great
epic livery
off
for me.
the track.
I'm on the outside there in the
He's still
black
got
and
that
green
nice
car.
draft from your Monty in front.
Wait a minute,
He's
who's
gonna
that?
sit back-
Someone's running in one of the orange paints, one of the slow motion racing paints over there.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Who is that?
behind,
Right next to
Phil
Spider-Man.
Berry.
Yeah.
I think that is Wilkie
Dan?
Osbeck, so. Oh,
Oh,
There's a spin.
Spider-Man
It was,
just
Jason
got
Perry,
into
and
it.
I believe that was
Yeah, some
Green that
Jason
got
on Jason
turned.
violence
As
there.
they're caught up to Kramer now, and Jorg Monty's leading the
It's,
train around.
Just a little too
And,
close.
he's
Got,
going to get by. Looks like Osbeck's
and
going
then,
to get by.
yeah,
We'll
pitted
see
me.
if
We
anybody
got stuck
else
together.
does, but they can't be doing what I was just about to say in running 3
Similar
wide and
to
battling
the
3/4. That will cost you all kinds
to the
of
Formula
time.
Fords. This pack was
Holy cow, look at
Yeah.
that pack.
Fighting
as they had their way
so
down into
hard
turn
for the
number
last
1.
10 minutes of the race.
Osbeck jumping all the way up to 3rd. Trent Kramer now involved in this
Christian Kabanga up
battle.
there
And
again,
he's got to look
following
to
with
maybe
the
try and get something to work around
delivery
the outside into
Tomo
turn number
was
3. That's a
commenting about.
gutsy place to try and go for a move. And he
Trent
thought
Kramer
about
just
it.
won the
Osbeck
Formula
slamming
Fords.
the door,
They're in
saying,
the
"What are
white
you,
and purple."
crazy?" Spec Racer Fords here in
It's
the
the
weekend
battle for
warriors
third.
many moons, as have I as well.
And then we
And
shouted
name
out
an
Joaquin
occasion in
last
which a driver has just
last
given
week.
us a runaway victory to talk about.
And yeah,
It doesn't really happen
he proves
too
us right
much.
there.
Look at the wins Krishka
Was
Banka has.
flying
I
today.
mean, there's
Or
one
flying
that I
during this
always
race.
go back to. And it was just such a dominant performance,
You can-
and that was
yeah, you can see how powerful the draft is.
Like 15 seconds. That was as dominant as any
God.
race I've ever seen. Spec Racer, but obviously Long Beach not necessarily known as a draft track.
Top two are gone though. Wow, look at that, 7 seconds.
Yeah,
Probably
Felix and
about
For the
a
Eric.
lead.
second and a half. And that was a very rare occasion. They are
Uh-oh.
3 wide contact being made between Osbeck and Kabanka. They make it into the turn. I don't even
Still
think
makes the
they
corner.
know
Great
how
job.
they're able to do that, but they keep it on the road. Oh, the white last time by or not. It's that we've got 3 wide action.
Second to last lap.
Yet again, these drivers are not giving us a single point to rest. There's no question or
And
shadow
just
of
a note
doubt
to
about it.
Trent
They're
is
trying to
on
kill us all.
16x at this
Kabanka
point.
Oh,
for the move
oh,
down the
yeah.
inside into turn number 5, but
People
here
want-
comes
is a
Kramer.
Look at that.
Look at
Good.
that.
Rewind
over-under
that a little bit.
coming
Rewind
through
that a little
turn
bit.
number 5.
This is
18.
classic Trent.
Oh, a little more. Sorry. There we go.
Kabanka going for the
Classic
move
Trent
down the
over
inside
under.
into turn number 5, but here comes Kramer. Look at that over-under coming through turn number 5. And he's going to
Yeah,
jump his
18
way up, get the
incidents in our
2-for-1
league and
deal.
our stuff
It's a
gets
matter of
DQ,
seconds with the
Tomo.
white flag
13
in the air.
in the
One
league
more lap
races
of
get us
racing
a
action.
drive-through.
They are 3
Last lap,
wide
so
right
Felix and
behind
Eric are
them, nearly
actually
4
racing
wide
now.
as well. York Monty nearly making it
Oh,
forward down into turn
it's
number
fine.
1.
There's enough room.
These 3 still got to give us a good battle to talk about you. Oh boy, that could have ended in tears with Osbeck coming up blows with Kabanka. A small little tap, a nudge, and a rub down into turn number 1. They are still going hard. That is Osbeck and Kramer battling tooth and nail down to turn number 3. Eric Luke and Felix Samoa, they're swapping spots a little bit farther up the straightaway
Here's the
down
lead.
into turn number 5.
Yeah.
That's Eric Luke jumping into the race lead in front
Are they
of
teammates?
Samoa's.
Samoa's is
No.
in the driver's seat. Though.
I mean,
think
they are
P2
temporary
is the place
teammates.
to be.
Right,
And
yeah.
as we were
This.
talking about earlier, Trent Kramer's
But
off.
Yeah, I didn't really catch this on the broadcast, but yeah, there was a Trent Cutter 4X and got DQ'd. Rip
and
Trent.
he knows that coming out of the
Bye,
final
Trent.
turn will be the spot to try and pounce.
Oh,
Bloody
George.
coming to blows. That was himself and Tortolo coming to blows out of turn number 12. That's going to result in
Eric is
Monty
in the
dropping back
unenviable
like a stone
position of
to
being
the
in the
back
lead
through
out of the last
field.
corner.
Oh, he jumped back to the front
You
of the
know
field.
what's coming
Follow
here.
Eric Luke and
Yep.
Felix Samoa's
And
in
a
the run up the
1v1.
line. Samoa is taking that
You
run.
don't want to be
It's
in
a
the lead.
photo finish at the end of this race, and Samoa is going to win it by 11
yeah,
thousandths
great drive
of a
from both
second
of
at
them.
the line.
Yeah, here we go with that second group. It's coming up around the hill.
Eric,
We're
just a
gonna
matter
get
of time
Christian
before he
Kabanka
gets his first
taking
win.
P3. O's back and forth. Tolo
Let's go, Christian,
in
getting
fifth.
podium.
And then we got
Joaquim
a battle
also
there between
P4.
Sadro and Perry. I think Perry got that. He did. Sadro in seventh. Loden, Barry, Wubker, Favini.
Results there. Jason, I'll let you take them.
Yep. Again, a great drive from Felix and Eric. Yeah, they drove away from everybody. Played it really, really smart. And yeah, Eric wound up in the unenviable position of being in the lead at the last corner.
Eric was our Spec 2 season champion for the league last season, and this was his debut moving up to Spec 1. So good job.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of time before he gets his first overall
He
win.
keeps getting faster every week.
Yep. Let's go, Christian. He's I think it's his third week back with us. Don't think he's driven the SRF that much, but yeah. Again, he's super fast. Whatever he drives. Again, Joaquim as well. A solid drive from him. Tor, as well. And then Phil. Phil won Spec 2. How did that happen?
Yeah, Phil got Spec 2.
Who let that happen? Jeez. Okay. just kidding. Let's go, Phil. And then yeah, Jeff Wubker taking the.
No, he had a Spec 2 number, so he raced a Spec 2. I don't know why they classified him as Masters.
Okay. So yeah, Monty getting the
Monty got
getting the SRF Masters win. Yeah, no other Masters on the page because one of them went for a little bowling in turn 5. So it generally doesn't help your finishing position, Steven. So you probably watch out for the cold tires. I mean, you set a full pace lap. You had plenty of time to warm the tires.
Yep. I did.
But yeah, well done from everybody. Three great races. Limited carnage. Yep. So for the most part, very, very well done from everybody.
There's our podiums for the 3 races. Spec 1, Ethan, Thor, and Felix. Spec 2, Michelle gets the win. She's known to get that anvil, but I think she's getting out from under it lately.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Andrew
now you just screwed her over. Good job, Stevie.
Yeah, I probably did. Yeah.
At least for
Andrew
the race.
And a new guy, Luca, rounding out that. And Masters was Alan Degasses. I snuck one in there. Look at that. Over Antonio. Yep.
Let's go.
From the Forge, Trenton got a great win.
Let's go, Trent.
Over Simon and JG too pulls out a silver. Tor gets the bronze. Spec 2, Simon had that up front. Alex and Jeff Jacobson pulled that one out.
There you go, Jeff.
Jorg, Jeff Wubker, and look at that. I got another one.
Wow. You got 3.
I got a medal in each race. I don't know how I got that one, but yeah, it's because everybody ran off. Felix Smalls gets the Spec 1 win with just barely over Eric. It was great to see him do his debut in a Spec 1 there. Christian Kabanka gets 3rd. Phil Berry, Jeff Wubker, and Andrew Love round out the Spec 2. Jorg gets it again in Masters. Brad Cathcart, our resident Aussie, and yours truly rounds it out.
There we go. Well, congrats everybody on the wins. It was a lot of fun, Stevie. It's a lot of fun every year, but yeah, just it really is cool to see how many people you get every year for those things, or every season, I should say.
Yeah, I keep hoping for a little bigger grid on those. Said we open it up. It's not a league membership required. We used to run 50 plus every time, so I'd like to see it try to get back to that. But
I mean, I'm sold. That made me want to do that.
Right?
Those
Get
are
in there,
awesome.
Tom.
I invited Tomo, and he said he would if he wasn't wasn't out of town. Damn,
Right.
I
Yeah.
can't talk tonight. Yeah. So
He's probably racing in real life or something. Right?
No, Father's Day, but
Well, that's a good point too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was Father's Day, and during the summer participation tends
Yeah.
to
a little
tends to
off.
trend down a little bit. So probably the lowest participation week 13
Sure.
event. But yeah, Guido in the chat says that Lupker was he didn't change his number, but he was registered as a master.
Okay.
So let's go, Jeff. I know he's been I've messaged him back and forth a little bit, so I'm glad to see him doing well.
Yep. So that's a little touch of our leagues, Tom. That our weekend warriors are typically really close to that every week. So we got some really great guys, good league, good people. So
That's amazing.
just to plant the seed.
Yeah. So the thing I was thinking about during the Formula V race, we were recently having a debate on my podcast with my friend DJ Alessandrini that we host called Lizard Brains, and we were debating whether or what was the most difficult road racing class to win. Not build included. We did a no build included and then a build included kind of debate. And I had a hot take that Formula V is the hardest road racing class to win because you can't see what's behind you. You got to race on spidey senses. They are so close.
Yeah.
And I've never driven one, so I don't know if that's true, but that race, I mean, if that doesn't speak to what we were talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
I get the pleasure of watching it, at majors and at the runoffs every year, but I don't know. Do you guys agree? Do you think?
For sure. Yeah, because you can't get away.
Yeah.
Or at least most of the time you can't get away unless there's like a crash or something behind you and you're in the lead and you get lucky. But most of the time you can't get away in the draft. The draft is so strong in those cars. You essentially have to pull a second gap in one corner in order to break the draft.
A prime example of that is Tor. I mean, he won 4 or 5 races.
5 races, yep.
Won 5 races in the league. A total win margin of 0.4 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4/10 for 5 wins. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's and then also with the V's, usually when you have the draft, you get the slingshot effect. So you carry that speed once you pull out of the draft. But the V's, as soon as you pull out of the draft, you just hit a brick wall and you stop.
Yeah.
So you'll get alongside the car, you'll end up exactly alongside of them, and then you'll be both going the same speed. So you can't get a definitive overtake. So yeah, it's definitely one of the more difficult cars to win in, just because you have to race smart, and have the racecraft to pull out those close wins.
Russ Telker says he loves your podcast, by the way. So you've got a fan there from Russ. So
thanks. Means a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really cool. Honestly, we already mentioned the Father's Day thing. There were a lot of dads in there racing. So I don't know if that's including myself. So I don't know if that's like a good thing, like because we neglected our children to come race the runoffs, but my wife didn't care, so that's all that matters.
It's your day.
Exactly.
I was given the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's your day.
You know it.
My wife says, she didn't bother me. That was my day, so I got to race.
You got it.
So, all right. Well, that said and done, we'll get into our guest segment, Mr. Tomo Gorman. And once again, Tom, I really appreciate you taking time to do this. Like I said, I know you are one busy dude. Ran into you a few weeks ago at Hallett doing the announcing up there. We had a history back in the day running the SCCA Esports League, and that was a lot of fun. We did a Pro-Am together, and you got those pictures, Adam?
I can throw them up now, so give me 1 second here.
Throw those up. There you go. And
that was cool.
There was the amateur, and you can see me as one of the amateurs there.
There you go. Yeah, right there. You got it circled and everything. There he is.
Hey, Caleb Patry next to me there in front of me. A bunch of the SCCA guys. Lawrence Loshak is another one. Celine Rowland, he's a MX5 pro. JG Pasterjack down there does
And there's a
yeah.
certain DJ Ellison Training as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
DJs. So Larry McLeod, no, that's Jackson McLeod down there, his son. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then we had the pro side of it. And there you go. Tom was on one of the pros, and it was almost a Team Hendrick thing.
You think? My God.
Yeah.
Look at all those
Look
guys.
at
Jeez.
Look at those names.
Yeah. I mean, Johnson,
Jeez,
Bowman,
Tom.
Byron Elliott, Klingerman, Clampett. That's crazy.
Yeah. Ray Everman. I mean, we were practicing. It was at
Ray
Watkins
Evernham.
Glen.
Oh my good God.
It was at Watkins Glen, and we were practicing and hear these guys in the chat talking back and forth, and Chase Elliott bump drafting me down the straight.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. I mean, it was a lot of fun, but it was crazy to race. And then in the race, the last two corners, Jimmy Johnson went wide in the, what was it, the left-hander, and then went off in the grass and shot straight across right into my right door. So
you got wrecked by Jimmy Johnson, Stevie.
I got wrecked by Jimmy Johnson. Yeah.
I wouldn't even be mad about that, to be honest.
No. It was okay. I mean, we were able to go on, but that was, there you go. Tomo was part of Team Hendrick that week.
That's
what a
awesome.
surreal time. I got to say, so I did every livery for this race, every single one of those liveries.
Yeah.
And well, first of all, rewind. You were doing esports, specifically SCCA esports before this COVID time. This is what we're talking about now is, esports COVID time. And I was plugged into esports and iRacing, but not doing it seriously, and you were. So I think you and I kind of got plugged in together real organically, because you were already doing it, and I had the idea to like let's make this like SCCA can't host real events. Let's blow it up and do these esports events. And I don't remember the involvement with Valvoline specifically, but they were the connection that got all those guys involved.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I still have whatever at the time anyway, Jimmy Johnson and Ray Everhand's phone number in my phone because they didn't know how to do it. They didn't know how to they didn't know how to join the servers. They didn't I was tech support. I don't have their phone numbers because we're friends. I was tech support. But that whole thing was, but I mean, honestly, Stevie, you were the catalyst for that whole thing, because not only that, but we had the idea to do kind of the weekly or was it weekly or monthly broadcasted events. And
it was weekly,
we were the closest to doing that at the time. So I don't even remember how closely we worked together to do it, but we just like, all right, let's get him involved. Let's get me involved. Let's get these people involved. And then we had to teach the national office people what it even was. And then go.
Yeah.
But oh man, that was so fun. That was cool.
Yeah. I thought you might get a kick out of seeing some of the history.
What a list to be on.
Oh yeah. I mean,
like just to go. I didn't know that you were that big of a deal, Tom. Okay.
I'm not.
I mean,
I should be on the other screen.
This graphic says otherwise. Okay. You're on the same the same page as all of those drivers. Like
I made the graphic. That's
I don't care. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And really at that point, except for I think it was Logan Clampett, none of and Crowder there. I think he was a sim pro. But none of them were really that good of sim racers.
No, they were kind of terrible. Although I would say, was it William Byron who did a really good job? I think.
Yeah,
well, Byron did.
Yeah, he caught in and got going really good.
Well, I know Byron. Yep. I think Byron is the one that started from sim racing. That's how he got into NASCAR and got all that stuff. So I would hope Byron would be good.
Alex Bowman did, but I don't think Chase was. He was okay.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy was kind of the.
Well, you got wrecked by him, so.
Yeah, I got wrecked by. Yeah. So I found some pictures on the internet as well to throw out, Tom, and if you want to mention what they were or whatever, we got just a few because I was going through your bio, to be honest, and man, it's like 10 pages long.
With driving every car imaginable, apparently.
Yeah.
I was reading that earlier. It's like it's like for 1 year you'd have amazing finishes and completely different cars, like 5 or 6 different cars, I feel like.
Yeah, I've been super lucky to be involved in a lot of different places, and I think one of the weird parts about this motorsport stuff is there's a pretty clear distinction between like the pro realm and the grassroots realm. We're all in the grassroots realm, but I'm super lucky to have been able to jump into that pro realm a little bit, and that's meant that I've been in like the list, like you said, like the list of things that I got to do is pretty cool. So you showed the picture of the TCR car. I got to take that to a Grid Life event and show it off. So that was at a grassroots event.
Yeah.
With a pro car, and they literally shipped the car from the race team to that event and just let me have it for the weekend. And I showed it off and I drove it around a couple times. They didn't tell me about how when you cycle the power on the car, every single time the ABS goes off.
Oh,
so
no.
I promptly got in the car and I went out for my little showcase and I spun the car immediately because it didn't. So yeah, and man, it's been super cool. That's a little grid shot from a Grid Life event at AMP. That's one of the polls. I actually I got to be in a IMSA TCR car in 2018, and Honda let me race an Audi because there was no competition to the Audi that was a Honda. So Honda signed off on me racing this Audi, and we got 5 poles in a row.
Let's go.
That was super cool.
Yeah.
There's my little Honda S2000. After I got dropped from Honda during COVID, I bought a Honda S2000 and started racing Grid Life with it.
There you go.
That was a lot of fun. It was very hard. I did not have a lot of fun at the beginning. I got to race Champ Car with the Rockwell Autosports team. They have a Porsche Boxster. We won the national championship 2 years in a row at Road Atlanta and NCM. And we got some interviews from there. And there's our little Lizard Brains podcast.
Yeah. DJ.
Me and DJ.
Yeah.
So that came from COVID as well. Actually, he and I would hang out before, and we would just bullshit about racing and sim racing and whatever else. And when COVID hit, we were hanging out literally every day. He had a job where he had to drive in his truck from job to job to job. He was a medical equipment service person, and I was just at home. I didn't know what to do. So we would be on Discord. We would be on whatever, playing video games all day. And after kind of that time period passed, we're like, man, we missed that. We should start a podcast. And here we are.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all those are great pictures. Thanks for finding those.
Real quick,
no problem.
Real quick, Tom, before Stevie starts getting into the serious question, we had Dan Stasinski on the podcast last week, and he showed us his rig. And I have to bring this up right now. I see your rig behind you. Yep. Where did you get the seat out of?
That is from a 1997 Honda Civic.
Okay, just wondering. I mean, all of these, look at this. All of these guys, that looks like Dan Stasinski's rig. To be honest, it might as well be.
Yep.
Awesome, man.
Yep. That is awesome. Yeah.
I've had that since my dad built this for me we built it together out of whatever this metal's called. Metal, like L-frame, whatever the framework's called, in some wood.
There you go.
Man, when I was like 17 years old, this got a lot of miles. Wow. I will say that.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll back up a little bit for what we normally do. And I usually kick it off, Tom, by asking, how did you get started with the sim racing, and how did that play into your real world and the connection, all that kind of good stuff?
Sim came first by a long way. So I'm of the generation where like PlayStation 1 was my first console. Need for Speed was my first video game. Gran Turismo 1 came very closely after. Gran Turismo 2 was like my GOAT. That's like my best game of all time still to this day. But sim racing, I would say I found a game called GTR2. Are we familiar? Yeah, nodding.
Yeah.
GTR2. Okay, so this was a sim bin video game that I found on the bottom shelf of a clearance rack at Micro Center.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. And it sounds familiar, but I'm not totally sure. But yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not a big game, so I get that.
Yeah.
So I found this at Micro Center. We were there for something else, and I convinced my mom to let me get it. And I went home and I tried to install it, and my computer was not able to run this game at all. No steering wheel, no nothing. And I just I found this game, and my parents are luckily kind of tech savvy. They work in IT and stuff. So they helped me figure out that we needed a better video card or graphics card. And I figured out that I could plug in my steering wheel from my PlayStation to the computer, and I kind of got it working. So GTR 2 was probably my first like access point into sim racing after I'd been playing Toka Race Driver 2 and Toka Race Driver 3 a lot on my PlayStation. Those were like kind of the first racing games that I played online on PlayStation. And those both got me really involved with some leagues. Honestly, like at that time, I kind of discovered there were some leagues and some lobbies that would be open all the time. And I found the websites that were correlated and whatever. So I would literally get home from school, let's say 7th, 8th grade. I would get off the bus. I'd get home. I would go downstairs and play the UK leagues that I was a part of. I would, turn off the system, go out for dinner, and then I'd come back downstairs and I would race the US leagues. And I was huge into these Toka Race Driver 2 and 3 leagues. And if you've never played these games, they had so many licensed different series. They had DTM, they had V8 supercars, they had a knockoff of Formula One, they had some sports racers, touring cars, BTCC, classic muscle. I mean, they had semi trucks, rally cars. They were one of the most they were probably the closest thing to iRacing that exists now, where it's just like this massive scope of stuff.
Yeah.
And they were a PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah.
So that captured me with the ability to play online with real people, talking to people, and at the time I would say I was, like I said, maybe 13, 14 years old. Those people started to get into sim racing. I found this game GTR 2 at the bottom shelf of a thing, and it just kind of like clicked that they were also starting to get into the same thing, and that's what got me playing racing games on my computer. And yeah, that was kind of my stepping stone into having this
contraption
behind me and whatever else.
Yeah. And then iRacing came along. Your real world racing, similar times, or
Sure. So similar time frame. Like I said, I was a teenager. I got into autocross as a teenager as well through my cousin who got into SCCA National Autocross. He's about 10 years older than me, so he was in his 20s, I was in my teens, and we knew about what that was, and I kind of started to see that he was doing these events. But actually, there was a kind of a middle ground. There was this a web-based race series called Race to Play. Have you guys ever heard of this?
I don't think so.
Okay, so racetoplay.com, I believe it was sanctioned by NASA, and it was essentially what iRacing is now, but pre-iRacing. So we're talking like 2006 to maybe 2009. And you had to register. You had to have all your real information in there. You had to register for the races. They had a real admin kind of doing race control during the races, and they would keep series championships for each season for these races. And it would use games like GTR 2 or R Factor or Richard Burns Rally was in there.
Part of that, yeah.
Yeah, there was all these different games that they would use to kind of host these championships or these races. And in addition to the leagues that I was racing with these people that I had met through racing on PlayStation, I found that there was this web-based, racing series that I could join whatever race, and it really captured my like. This is what I would run home, and I would ignore phone calls from my friends. My parents would like, hey, whoever's on the phone, they want to talk to you. I'm like, I'm racing. Like, so I mean, it really sucked up my entire like interest other than being at school. And this was all pre being able to drive real cars. So I would say that would probably be maybe equal to autocross, my most formative driving experience is racing against these real people from all over the world. And using the sim to do that. So then iRacing comes out, and I would say iRacing came out, I think 2008 was like the beta version that was available to people. In 2010, 2011, it started to sponsor SCCA autocross events. And if you won autocross events at national events, you would win a free 3-month trial to iRacing. I won an event in real life, and I got this trial for iRacing, and I downloaded it, having played this this whole thing for a while, and I hated it. I did not like that game. I mean, it was just like, it just wasn't the same as the other games, so I just didn't like it. So I played it for a day, and I just like, no, this is stupid. I went back to my other thing. And it's kind of ironic that now this would have been 2010. 20 years, 10 years later, it's become like the focal point for sim racing.
Well, I mean, when
but
iRacing came out, it was there wasn't much on it, right? It was just ovals basically, right? It was just all oval racing. Or
No,
did
they had a
have-
roadside.
Oh, did they?
With SRFs and
Okay.
the MX5s. They had some basic content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did kind of the same thing. I got into it in 2011, and I raced the Spec Racer, the Gen 1, the Renault back in the 90s. And I thought, okay, the Spec Racer Ford, I know this car. I'm going to get in and kick some butt. And I got into it, and I couldn't keep it on track. And it was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And kind of like Tom said, I kind of didn't like it. And I dropped it after a little bit and got away from it. And then we moved houses and didn't have the capability. And then, I don't know, a year later or so, I got back into it and tried again and kind of took it a little more serious and worked on it and got back up to speed. But yeah, I same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to learn that it comes from it comes from Papyrus,
right?
Which is an old DOS game from the 90s that I actually had. My parents used to have to tell me how to log into DOS to play this Papyrus NASCAR game that I had, and I now have friends that work at iRacing, and apparently there's still code from that original NASCAR game way back in the day left over in remnants of iRacing code.
That's what I've heard.
You know, it's still bits of the same game, so. I guess it's been there ever since I was a little kid, but it took me a long time to grow on me.
Yep. All right. Oh, so how do you? What's the like Jason said? You've done a lot of different cars in real life, and a lot of them kind of connect with different cars in the sim and iRacing, the TCRs and some other stuff. How do they relate for you?
You know, at this point, I have to keep the sim in a fun realm for me to enjoy it. I struggle to use it for anything other than fun. So that said, I would say that funny enough, I actually enjoy the weird cars the most. I enjoy the 1987 stock cars. I enjoy the Pro 2 trucks. I enjoy a bunch of different stock cars that I'm never going to get to drive, stuff like that. That keeps me interested, and maybe that's because I've been sim racing long enough that I need that stimulation or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, as long as I keep the application of the game in the fun realm, I think it is massively beneficial to me staying sharp with racecraft and with adaptability. And also with like my mental game, because I actually experienced this during that COVID break where we weren't doing real cars or driving real cars, I should say, in 5 or 6 months. That was at the longest time I had not driven a car in years. You know, I was lucky enough to be driving for Honda, and I was doing a lot of autocrossing and road racing and just doing this and that and the other, and I was always in a real car. When we took that little break, I played the sim a lot, and I really struggled with compartmentalizing the sim versus real life. And when I got back into real cars, it was very confusing to me because I got so used to driving the sim in a light and almost scared fashion where I'm like, oh, if I do anything wrong, I'm going to spin. And I got back in a real car, and it's just like, oh, no, I know what I'm doing. It took me a month. It took me a month worth of events to get back in that routine. But anyway, I learned through that. Yeah, I learned through that process that I need to keep it in a fun realm. So honestly, now if it doesn't sound fun, I don't do it. I don't do a lot of I feel like GT3 fixed races and like the officials in general. Like I love league races and I love weird stuff and all the stuff that those races you guys just showed the highlights of. That makes me want to race versus like the officials against a bunch of people I've never seen before and never talked to. Like whatever. I don't thrive on that versus my friend and co-host on the podcast, DJ, he thrives on that. He wants the competition. He wants to feel bad about himself. He wants to feel like he needs to do better. And he thrives on that. So it's really interesting to see how different people use the tool of the game. To me, if it's not fun, I'm not going to play it.
I want to back up just for a little bit because you mentioned racecraft, right? And you said, it keeps your racecraft sharp when you get out into the real life racing. I mean, to expand on that a little bit, what do you mean by that? Because where I'm trying to go with this is these people that you're racing in real life, you know them, right? You've talked to them, or you know who you're racing. In the sim, you kind of really don't. So is that why? Because you don't quite know what those other guys are going to do? Is that where you just keep your mind sharp, sort of thing? As you get to know people, you know how they race. You don't get that in the sim that often if you're doing the officials, which, like you said, you don't like to do.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a bit of that. I think the internet anonymity gives you free reign in a lot of ways. I think that applies to all social media. That applies to all internet interactions.
Yeah.
When you don't have a face, and iRacing, you have your real name, but what does that actually mean? I don't think that a lot of people race the way they would race, me included,
right,
on iRacing or on the sim, that the way they would in real life. So to me, that's like the line. But I also firmly believe that no matter what, if you're playing a racing game online with other people, be it maybe everything short of Mario Kart, if you're I'm actually a huge fan of Forza Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Even Forza Horizon, Forza Gran Turismo, whatever I can go into all my history with those games too. If you're racing against those real human beings on the other end of the game, in those games, simulators, whatever, you're learning a level of racecraft because people make the same mistakes in real life as they do in these video games or in these simulators. So the main thing for me is if I'm doing officials, if I'm doing league races, if I'm doing whatever it may be, if I'm treating it realistically, I'm going to be learning about, or I'm going to be keeping fresh the skills that it takes to do that in real life as well. And honestly, I think people make the mistakes more emphatically, more emphasized, whatever I'm trying to say, in real life than they do in the sim. So somebody could be really good in the sim, they could be a little bit more acute in the sim, but then they get in real life and they struggle more. So I think if you're really, really, really strong on the simulator, if you're really, really freaking plugged in, the way that maybe even somebody all the way up to the level of like Max Verstappen is, he's in that every day. You can tell he eats, sleeps, and breathes that, and he cannot help but be in that mentality all the time.
Yep.
That to me is what the benefit of the simulator does for me at this point.
Right.
And like I said, as long as I'm keeping it in the fun realm, then the practical stuff like comes as a byproduct.
Trent asked a question. Would you say you like practicing a like-minded car to your IRL vehicles before an event, or just driving for racecraft, training with other chassis and tracks?
Yeah, I do not practice on purpose.
Yeah,
at
exactly.
all. I cannot. So I've become a very firm believer in like, do not use the simulator to practice with the most practical car on the track that you're going to do. Just play the game.
Yep.
Play the sim. Learn to drive the cars. Like literally, you should go drive the Lotus 49. Go drive the NASCAR truck. Go drive the whatever. And if you're learning the mistakes that compounds time loss in those cars, whatever it may be, then those are going to apply to the real world. And obviously that's an extreme example. Maybe you should drive the Aston Martin GT4 if you have an MX-5 or like whatever it is. You can plug in like a somewhat correlated thing, but I do not at all subscribe to the idea that like I have a Miata, I should play the Miata in iRacing.
Right.
That to me is putting yourself in a box that you're not getting anything out of the sim to real life, and you're losing so much of the benefit of the sim if you do that.
Yep.
Do you guys agree? Have you guys done? You guys?
Yeah.
I
know. Yeah. I think you're onto something there. I mean, you've got. I've obviously, unfortunately, haven't ever had the ability to go out and run real life. But when you've got guys, it sounds like most of the people that run real life kind of talk the same way you do. That way, when they say like they say that they don't get anything for their real life driving, for their cars that they're driving out of the sim. And if you do that, then like you said,
except the racecraft.
Except the racecraft. Yep. And that's the racecraft thing comes up every time you ask somebody. Every time.
Yep. And speaking a little bit for Trent, he says he 100% agrees with you about the that it doesn't give you the right feel, which is a common thing that we hear from real life drivers as well. But Trent always says he uses the sim more for building his adaptability. So learning how to, just jumping into a completely different car, and just hopping into a race just to be able to drive something that different.
Well, yeah, that man's in my league. He drives a Mini Cooper in real life, and he's over here driving 87 stock cars around Indianapolis last weekend. You know what I mean? Like that's exactly right along what Tom was saying. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's also Trent's also actually coached me during sim races before, where he's applying the I'll be driving like the Lotus 79 or the Mercedes W13 or something like that.
Yep.
And he's applying the
Yeah, he goes, don't make this about me. We got a guy on the podcast.
I'm just linking it together.
Yeah,
it's fine. But yeah, he's applying the the same concepts for driving a B-spec car to and seeing, improving my lap time in, a completely different car, just applying the same concepts. So yeah, it's there is that a little bit of a crossover, but yeah, like you said, it's you can't really treat it like the same thing. Have
you had a chance to use it or an occasion to need to use it to learn a track before you go, Tom?
Oh, sure. But honestly, it was all back in the day, like the stories I'm talking about from GTR2 and R Factor and all those. Those are games they're open source, so you can modify the game. You can also add mods into the game. So there was a period of time where I was getting a little stale on like the games that I was playing, and I found all these mods. So I found all the websites that have the cars and the tracks and the whatever else, and I was just like, oh my, like I was a kid in a candy shop. I didn't know about all these tracks, and you could have all these historic tracks, and you could have all these different cars, and so some of the other games that really like woke me up were GT Legends. I don't know if you've heard of this one. This was FIA 1965 and 1976, I think. Touring cars and GT cars. I had Live for Speed was actually a huge one. That game had a open parking lot that you could put autocross elements on, and every time you hit a cone, it was 2 seconds, and you could hit a start line and an end point. And I mean, I would grind the same autocross course, but you could also modify the cars in that game to add grip to the tires. You could add whatever cylinders to the engine. You could make the weight, whatever. So yeah, I went on this huge adventure before I drove a real car where I learned so many tracks. I learned so many cars. And to your point about learning tracks, I have driven more tracks in the sim than I will ever drive in real life.
Yeah.
And we're just now getting to the point where there are some new tracks coming up where they're adding them to like stuff like Navara or Rudskogen or like stuff like that it just wasn't even a track when I was playing the game back then, but now it is. And I'm learning these newer tracks, but I know the 1967 layout of Fuji Speedway better than everybody else because I drove that back in the day, So yeah, I had this like insatiable curiosity for all of this stuff that it wasn't intentional. I just couldn't get enough of it. I wanted to drive all of it in every combination, even back to like Gran Turismo 2. I wanted to drive every car on every track combo. I just wanted to know what they were like. And we talk about this on our podcast. I didn't know I was learning at that time, but I was. I didn't know that I was. I didn't know that I was practicing, but I was. So I think I was lucky to put in that work before I knew what that work really was. But yeah, I to your point, I learned so much about these tracks and these cars and the way that a car makes speed around a racetrack from these video games. That now, honestly, if I have this is aiming high, but I have this theory that if I can't put the car on pole in 3 laps, I'm not doing good enough. And I hold myself to that standard, and that's a little bit of a autocross mentality, but it's also this sim racing mentality where like I got to learn it like this. Like if I can't figure it out quick, what am I doing? So that's kind of where my mind lives with this stuff.
So this is going to be a very big question that you probably can't answer in the time we have, but how do you do that? How do you learn a track that fast? Because I mean, that's something that you hear. Yeah, sure. but that's something you hear from like all of the pro drivers, where it's like, you learn the track in 3 laps or whatever. You're up to pace after a certain number of laps, a very small number of laps. And me, as I've only been sim racing for a couple of years, but it takes me a really long time to get up to speed. So it's not 3 laps. It's like, I don't know, 30 or 40 or 100 or 300 laps to figure out how to find that extra little pace. Is that just like Stevie said? Is that just experience and the years of practice that kind of just you just
Background and
subconsciously pick it
foundation.
up, or is it something conscious that you're doing in those 3 laps?
No, I would say it's subconscious, but uh, I think the way I've learned to verbalize it, I had to learn to verbalize what I was doing over these years, but I think you learn to identify what types of corners need. So you almost start to like stereotype a corner. And for me, there's kind of 3 brake pressures, let's say. So there's like a fast, medium, and slow corner where you're scrubbing off 10 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour. And if you have the skill set to brake for a corner where you only need to scrub 10 miles an hour off, which is literally nothing, especially if you're doing 100 miles an hour, like our human brains can't even process 20-mile-an-hour gaps like that. So you're building these muscle memories to go through the corners that way.
Gotcha.
You're building a skill set that then you learn to correlate what the skill is and what the corner needs. And without even thinking about it, like it's really not an active process. It's a subconscious process that I think like I said, I learned subconsciously over the years, but I've learned to verbalize and kind of apply to say, is this a light, medium, or hard braking zone? Is this a fast, medium, or slow corner? Whatever it may be. Linking corners is a big one, like learning how to link corners together. Is this a series of S's at Suzuka where I need to figure out how to link turns 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8?
Right. Which corners to sacrifice? Yeah.
Right, exactly. Learning to sacrifice speed at certain times, learning how to apply small amounts of brake pressure, small speed adjustments versus a threshold braking zone. I think that using the sim to be extremely adaptable and diverse, the way that I accidentally did, I'll say it, like a full admission, like I did it accidentally, builds that skill set in a way that it's almost hard to recreate. Like if you just go, sometimes I work as a driver coach now. Sometimes I just want to tell someone, like, go experiment, go be wrong, like go dirty it up, go like screw around and figure out what works and what doesn't. Turn your ghost car on, turn your relative on. And that all comes from years of playing video games by myself or against these people on the internet, where I had to figure that stuff out. So to your point, if I'm learning a track that I've never seen before, without really thinking about it too actively, you can say, is this a heavy, medium, light brake zone? Is this a fast, slow, medium corner? Is this a decreasing radius, opening radius? Is this a linking corner? At the end of the day, we're playing a game of physics, and there's only so many things you could do with the car. So it is an extremely complex process, but I think it becomes pretty simple when you like throw that much at the wall and you start to learn what sticks.
Right.
And then the fun part about video games is it's endless. So you can literally drive as many laps as you want. You can drive any car you want on any track you want. And it depends on how bad you want it at a certain point. Like, do you want to sit in the sim chair for 7 hours and play every track you can find on AssetoCorsaMods.com or whatever it is and learn that? Or are you just playing it for fun or whatever? And the more fun you're having, to me, the more fun you're having, the more organic the learning process is.
Right. Yeah, because like you said, you accidentally learn it.
Exactly.
It's not work. It's a you're having fun and unintentionally learning how to drive well. And I want to touch on something you mentioned. It go out and make mistakes. The amount of times where I found time through screwing up, like missing a brake marker, or like not paying attention and braking like 50 meters too late or something,
Stevie,
and then still making the corner.
Me, sorry. Stop.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's not where I was going with that. But yeah, like just braking too late and then still making the corner. I was like, oh, I was braking too early, or things like that, or taking a weird line accidentally, and finding time that way. So that really resonated with me. The go out and make mistakes. So yeah, just wanted to highlight that.
Evie, you got any more questions for him? Because there's one from Brian in the chat as well that I can't find.
One of them was what's the lizard brain?
Yeah, he said for people that haven't listened to your podcast, what is a lizard brain?
So we're actually conspiracy theorists, and we talk about conspiracy theories. No.
I think that's lizard people.
Yeah.
No, lizard brain is like, it's that primitive part of your brain that can't help but like chase the thing that feels good. And when it comes to driving, the thing that feels good is like seeing the green increase, the lap time like delta go down or whatever it is. And we kind of just like ran with that. Like if you're a little lizard like we are, like you can't help but chase that. You have to have that hit of dopamine that like you get quicker and you get better at it. And sometimes it feels really bad to like be bad at something for like an hour, but then you get that little hit of dopamine and like you get that little bit after an hour and 10 minutes that makes you feel like, oh I'm getting somewhere, so that's,
you just spoke to Adam's soul with that statement.
Yeah, you did. Yeah
Perfect.
Yeah,
you can't help it. Like I don't know, I think some of us can't help it.
No,
some people will never get it and some people can't help it. I do firmly believe that.
Yeah, JG2 and I are.
We're both in the same camp.
Yeah, so
I think all of us are.
Yeah, it's true.
You're in that camp, I think.
We're actually doing a Formula 3 league tomorrow night. It starts first race starts tomorrow night, and like I remember I got into this league before JG2 did, and I did an F4 race with him, and I was like, Jason, I need you to help me get fast because I want to beat the shit out of these guys. Like, it was just one of those things. So, I get it. But real quick, another one. Brian says, as a driver coach, what's the most effective way to tell a driver it's not the car, it's you?
The most effective way is to do a reference lap. Show them. But if you can't do that, that's tough. I mean, you just got to be blunt. You just got to be blunt. I've lost my tact over the years, to be honest. Like I'll just say what it is. I had this really awkward moment. If I could go on a tangent for a second, I was coaching a Radical Cup driver. This is a real life event. I was a sub, so I didn't know this driver very well, but it was at a Radical Cup race at Road America. And this driver came through the kink. He got a really good run, but Road America, you kind of feint to the right through the little bit of the straight, and then you fade back to the left, and then you brake for Canada Corner. Well, he interpreted the driver in front of him as fading to the right and then blocking him.
Oh, no.
And he misread the whole situation, and he literally just cleaned this guy out, took him out, and sent him off to the wall, totaled his car. I mean, he could have hurt the guy. But he came on the radio, and he's like, the guy blocked me. He blocked me. And he's losing his mind. So we're watching the video afterwards, and he's convinced that he's in the right. And I watched the video, and I'm convinced. I'm not even convinced. Like, he's obviously in the wrong. And this is the guy from New York who's a doctor, and he could buy my whole life and my whole family. You just got to tell him he's wrong. And it's tough, but I guess as a driver coach, like the hardest part about being a driver coach, because it is kind of a made up job, you got to be so confident in what you know. And if you don't know what you know, honestly, the hardest part about it is saying that you don't know if you don't know. And we're going to learn together. But if you know, you got to explain exactly, like, point for point for point, black and white, why this person's wrong. That's obviously a weird example because it's racecraft, but you get to that point where you can just you can't listen to what they're saying as an excuse or a reason or a reasoning for why they're doing something. You can acknowledge that they are fine in feeling that way, but at the end of the day, it doesn't come down to how they feel about it or why they're thinking they can't do it. You just got to keep driving home that fact that whether it's you can brake at the 2 instead of the 3, or you can't just like hit the guy because he wasn't blocking you, whatever.
As a driver,
it becomes difficult.
As a driver coach, are there tracks that you prefer coaching at, or
Interesting. Are there tracks I prefer? No, not necessarily tracks. I would say there are some interesting patterns that you can start to notice at every track.
Mhm.
It's not the same at every track, but there are patterns that you can notice at a track. What would I say? There's a track that I like coaching at.
Got him. I got him, guys.
You got me. I don't know.
So you can. So you're
honestly,
comfortable with coach. Like if you were to go to any track for coaching, you're comfortable with doing that. Like you can take someone anywhere and do it. Basically.
Yeah. But like I said, if you don't know what you're talking about, you need to acknowledge like I don't know, but we're gonna learn together. So
Right.
like for example, there's a handful of videos on YouTube called ASM Track Tips that I made, and one of them specifically Summit Point. I had only been to Summit Point once, and I'd been there for 3 days over a period of 3 days, but only once.
Right.
And I made this track tips video, and I'm on YouTube talking like I know what I'm talking about, whatever. But I've literally only been there one time in one car. And other than sending it to a handful of people who I know are more familiar with that track than I am, with a bunch of different cars, and say like, fact check me.
Right.
you kind of have to just like say what you know.
Right.
But then if somebody stumps you, like you just got to say I don't know, like you just did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I will say I love coaching at NCM Motorsports Park, which is in Bowling Green, Kentucky. To me, that's the hardest track in the country to put a lap together at in the U.S. anyway. And I love coaching there because you can find time for literally anybody.
Right.
It's 23 corners long. It's 2.5 minutes long. It is so hard. And there's like 3 sequences of the lap that all the corners link together. It's really, really difficult. And I love coaching there because there's time to find for every person.
Right.
Versus you go to someone's home track and sometimes it's just like,
you're
doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. That's
Well, the fundamentals are the same no matter what track.
Yeah.
So
Right.
That's what you got to go with. Yep.
Totally.
Stevie, I got another one for him.
Go for it.
I'm looking through this massive career highlights that Stevie has put together for me. I'm not going to read them all off. I'm not going to read any of them off, actually.
Like I said, it's like 10 pages.
I'm going to ask you instead, in your real life racing experience, what has been your favorite moment up to this point?
The highlight?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The highlight.
The best moment you've had in a real race. Like you're the best feeling moment.
Best feeling moment.
Man, I'm good.
You are good. So the first thing I thought of was actually this is kind of this is pretty recent, but when I like I said, I bought that Honda S2000 that you showed in the photo. That was my first like club racing car, I would say, after my pro career. For a bit of context, I got dropped from Honda during COVID after being on contract with them for 4 years because they didn't know what their budgets were going to do. They didn't know what their schedule was going to do, whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of impulse bought a Honda S2000 to road race in Grid Life Touring Cup. And I struggled hard. Like I haven't run my own car in years. I have no mechanical abilities in years. Well, ever. And over the period of time that I had that car, I actually crashed it at Road America. We got another car and we started to work on that one from where we left the old car off. And we were I was working with AS Motorsports with Andy Smedegaard, and we were just I'm kind of a bitch when it comes to a bad car. Like I will complain and complain and complain and complain and complain. I will on sim, I want a fixed setup. Just fixed. Everyone's the same, so I can't complain.
Yep.
But I was complaining and complaining and complaining about this car, and we were at Autobahn Country Club, and Andy and I were just like working so hard on back and forth together on making this car work, and it clicked. And that car ended up being the winningest car in any season of Grid Life at this point in time. We won 20 races in 20 of the 40 races that season. So a 50% win ratio. And like that feeling of that car coming to life in that way is probably my most favorite recent memory of like any.
Yeah.
Cool. It wasn't a specific win, but it was just like, oh my God, we got this car freaking right.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember. There was another one that I like vaguely remembering. I knew that I was going to win this race. Oh, I got it. Daytona 2019 in the TCR Civic.
Mm-hmm.
My teammate and I won the 4-hour race there. But I was in as the finishing driver, and I was in for the final 2 hours, and there was a yellow flag with like 15 minutes to go, right? So the green comes back out, and it's like the previous 3 and some hours.
Don't forget about it.
It's a sprint race.
And the last time I cleared the bus stop, knowing that my teammate behind me couldn't draft up and clear me, and like kind of knowing I was going to win, but I have this whole banking for Daytona.
Yeah.
That was just the coolest freaking feeling. Like I cannot.
Yeah.
I almost can't put myself back there. That was just unbelievable feeling to know. Because to be honest, that was also the first race that I won in IMSA on outright pace.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in those series. So to just like go win on pace was so special. All right. So those are my two. Those are the two I thought of.
Nice.
Okay, I'm done, Stevie. I'll mute myself now.
All right, we got one more for you, Tomo. Then we're getting a little long, and we'll wrap it up. But Trenton is asking if you prefer coaching drivers to be consistent first, or work on their speed first and then get the consistency.
Ooh, interesting. I would rather a driver be trying 10 out of 10 and be like 7 or 8 tenths clean than a driver who's like 10 out of 10 clean but 7 or 8 tenths fast. So I like if somebody's trying really, really hard, meaning they're pushing too hard, they're making mistakes, whatever. I would rather have that than you know, kind of fine tune and pull somebody back than somebody who it's really hard to convince somebody like you can go flat through there.
Right.
That's way harder than somebody who's going to go flat whether they go off or not.
Yeah, and then back it down.
Yeah. So I would say that that for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Now that's not to say go be that driver if that's not you, but I would rather that driver.
Yeah. All right. Well, once again, thanks so much for joining us. It was really informative, entertaining. I think we all learned some stuff and appreciate you sharing the hints and the tips with us. Where can they find you? What's your website, your coaching? Where can they find you, Tomo?
I'm a little quiet on social media, but I am on social media. I have my Facebook, my Instagram, which is either Tomo Gorman or Tomo Racing. Grab me at the track anytime if you see me. I'm happy to talk to anybody. I have been described as informative and verbose, as described by the length of this podcast. So yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's why you got the announcing job, right?
Yeah.
Right. There you go.
To be on a podcast or to be an announcer, you have to be able to talk a lot.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get it, Tom.
When I went up to Howlett 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, in the tower up there, it was him and Greg Ginsburg.
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
Oh jeez.
No silent moments at all.
No, zero.
It was well, they had to really talk because they had a long hold for rain.
4 hours.
Yeah. So Tom, thanks again so much. Standing invitation if you want to come join us on the weekends. The V's run on Saturday afternoons our time, and Sundays the Formula Fords, and then the Spec Racers run, and they're broadcast on Slow Motion Broadcasting. So it's
Trent is basically begging you to come race with him at this point.
I'm going to start with the well first I thought it was Ray's Formula F.
Yeah.
I thought it was Stevie's car, but I had that
right.
Yep.
Like I mean, sorry to go on a tangent, but I was begging Stevie to name the league, the Formula Ray League, but he didn't like that idea. So.
Yeah. We had to keep it the Weekend Warriors. So that's Weekend Warriors. By the way, Tom's been going since 2015 with the Spec Racer Fords, and then we added the V's and the Formula Fords when they came out. So that's our stuff, and great group of guys. They pretty much self-police. Said we 13 incidents, you're going to do a drive-through, 18 your DQ, and said the 3 classes, advanced and the intermediate, and then the old guys. But it's a lot of fun. So standing offer for you to come join us anytime you want. Just let me know, and we'll get you hooked up. And other than that, I think that about does it, guys. Thanks to all of our chat warriors out there, the keyboard warriors. Lots of good questions. Yeah, a ton of them out there tonight. That was awesome. So.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Russ Telker says, just add one more guy that will kick my ass on track. Thanks. So, all right, guys. Well, it's Tom again. Stevie already said it all. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Yeah. Thank you too. Couldn't do it the podcast without you guys every week either. So great. A lot of appreciation there. Other than that, let me know anytime I can do something for you, Tom, and we'll do something on track.
Thanks so much, guys.
See you later.
All right. Take care, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.
See you next week.
Stevie leads the charge, he is the Warriors chief. Adam's got the takes that'll roast like it's beef. Coach extraordinaire, yeah, Jason's on the mic. C4's wide open, who's rolling in tonight? It's the Racing Line, Tuesday's prime. For sim top pace and weekend warriors time. Strap in tight, now hear that whine. Engines up, it's time for the Racing Line. It's the Racing Line, Tuesday's prime. For sim top pace and weekend warriors time. Strap in tight, now hear that whine. Engines up, it's time for the Racing Line. It's the Racing Line, Tuesdays prime. For sim talk pace and weekend warriors time. Strap in tight now.
Appreciate your time, Frank. This gentleman has done wonders for sim racing, the real world racers that come into sim racing or go back and forth. Frank's responsible to get some guys out on track. So without further ado, Mr. Frank Swartz, Grass Paddock Motorsports, tell us what you do.
What do we call this thing? The Racing Line. I'm all out of sync. We got more people to deal with this week than what I'm used to. So thanks to my co-host, Jason, for joining us. Adam's back this week. And as you can see, we got a fourth sitting here. Megan Oversheet is already joining us to help us do some reviews and stuff. So thank you, Megan.
Let's go, Megan.
And help
Let's
us.
get-
Good
let's get
evening, Greg.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, we're just getting ready to review the spec racers, and since we had an announcer in the waiting room, we thought we'd go ahead and bring you in.
Well, thank you very much.
There he is.
Hey, we got him.
Hey, Jason, we got you this time.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
We won't talk about
Yeah.
the other.
Our special guest for the evening, Mr. Dave Ogburn, and for Dave to introduce you to these two knuckleheads, you got.
Great to see you, Thor. Welcome to the fourth chair and the podcast this week.
No, thank you so much for having me. It feels surreal, like finally being able to talk to you guys. You know, I've been in this league for like 2-3 years, and yeah, finally face to face.
Yes, our first guest.
Yeah.
You're on the spot now, Jeff.
Oh.
So, welcome, Mr. Jeff Jacobson. Again, great to have you here. Thanks for taking some time out to join us. So we get to some fun part. That's why you're here, Jerry. This is our guest segment after the reviews. So thanks for sitting through with us. And
That was fun.
and
Thank you.
yeah, it's some good racing. So, well, first of all, we gotta say thank you to Trenton for taking time to come join us. He's one of the hardest working guys I know, and you can look there in the shop behind him and get an idea of what he does. So as everybody sees, we've got Darren Ganji, and if you didn't know already, he is Mr. Sim Motion, where you can get all your sim rigs and equipment and everything. He's also the sponsor of that league we were just talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Sean Ambrose, we go back forever, back to the very early beginning days of the Weekend Warriors. when it was broadcasted on another broadcast, GSRC, I don't mind saying it. Very good to us. And Sean was one of the producers, announcers, always great to talk with.
So, Mr. Edgar Sancinelli, Weekend Warrior, Frito Sport Racing. I don't know what all you do, but great to have you join us tonight, Edgar.
Yes.
I'm not saying shit. Oh, see, I literally. Whatever,
Yep,
I give up.
there you go.
I know you've had a mute for me. So,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, when you
Yeah.
it's for the V's when Adam and you were there. I mean, it's
yeah, it's
jeez.
Oh yeah.